Coucou tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. J'espère que vous êtes tous abonnés sur ma chaîne Talk with Paty BM. Bienvenue à tous les nouveaux abonnés, vous êtes les bienvenus sur la chaîne. Et surtout, n'oubliez pas d'activer la cloche de notification pour recevoir les notifications à chaque fois que je poste une nouvelle vidéo, de vous abonner, de liker et de partager les vidéos pour que ma chaîne puisse être connue. Alors, aujourd'hui, on continue notre sujet sur Jada PINKETT et Will Smith parce que Jada PINKETT a encore frappé. La meuf, elle veut pas arrêter, hein. Elle continue. Eh ben, dis donc. Alors là, elle nous dit ça. Je n'ai jamais aimé un seul film de Will Smith. Et même pendant les moments intimes, je lui disais de mettre Jusqu'où. Vous connaissez le film Jusqu'où? Le film que Tupac a tourné là. Vous connaissez? Et avant de faire l'amour, le son de Tupac a contribué à créer la bonne ambiance. Mon Dieu. C'est chaud, hein? C'est chaud. Et du coup, elle dit ça encore récemment. Et entre-temps, j'ai pu aller chercher pour voir un peu la réaction de Will par rapport à tout ça, quoi. Et Will dit, en fait, dans ses déclarations, « Je viens de tourner la dernière page de Worthy », parce qu'il a lu le livre Worthy de Jada PINKETT. Je pense que quand elle l'écrivait, peut-être qu'il n'était pas au courant de tout ce qui était mis dedans, mais que là, maintenant qu'il a l'occasion de pouvoir le lire, il l'a lu et il dit « Je viens de tourner la dernière page de Worthy. C'est incroyable de réaliser que même si j'ai vécu la majeure partie de ma vie à tes côtés, je me suis retrouvée choquée, abasourdie et pris au dépourvu. Riant, puis inspiré, puis navré, j'étais partout. C'est une chose d'entendre des anecdotes lors des barbecues en famille, mais c'était vraiment bouleversant de comprendre ton histoire puissamment condensée de cette manière. Je sais que ce n'était pas facile de creuser les profondeurs de cette façon. Je t'applaudis et t'honore. Si j'avais lu ce livre il y a 30 ans, je t'aurais certainement plus serré dans mes bras. Je vais commencer maintenant. Bienvenue au club des auteurs. Je t'aime à l'infini. Maintenant, va chercher du merlot et repose-toi. Mais qu'est-ce que Will Smith il veut dire par là? Moi, je comprends plus ce couple. Je ne comprends plus. En fait, le gars, il comprend même la manière dont il est en train de la traiter, en fait. Et là, il rajoute encore une couche en disant... Il a été réveillé par le livre qu'elle a écrit. Il précise avoir pris conscience que son épouse était en réalité beaucoup plus résiliente, intelligente et altruiste qu'il ne le croyait. La star de la méthode William révèle également avoir saisi que Jada PINKETT SMITH était plus fragile et que sa vie avait été plus bancale qu'elle ne l'avait laissé voir. Donc en vrai, je suis choquée, il a pitié pour la dame, quoi. Malgré toute l'humiliation qu'elle est en train de lui faire, il a pitié pour elle. Mais ils sont dans quel genre d'histoire ces deux-là, en fait? Je ne comprends pas. Et puis il dit encore, lorsque vous avez partagé avec quelqu'un plus de la moitié de votre vie, vous devenez en quelque sorte aveugle émotionnellement. Et il est très facile de ne plus prêter attention à ses nuances, à sa beauté intérieure. C'est ce que Will dit en fait. Je me dis, mais attends, le gars, il est dans le déni? Il est dans un autre monde ou c'est comment? Je comprends plus. Will Smith, il faut que tu ailles voir un psychologue. Ça va plus là. Ça va plus. Ça va plus, Will. Moi, je dis, il faut qu'il aille voir un psychologue, ce garçon. Il a quelque chose qui cloche dans son cerveau. Il y a un truc qui va pas. La meuf, elle te montre clairement qu'elle t'aime pas. Mais tu continues à l'applaudir, tu continues à l'honorer, tu continues à l'aimer, tu continues... Gars, il y a quoi? Bref, je vous laisse regarder les vidéos qui vont suivre parce que je n'ai plus de mots. Je n'ai plus de mots. Je vous laisse continuer à regarder. Et surtout, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner, de liker, de commenter.
But the thing that surprised me the most, that I actually had to reread it because I said, is this true?
Right.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
But in public, the couple, who married in 1997, denied the gossip about their marriage. Over the next several years, Jada and Will kept up the appearance of a committed married couple. So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us how to be in partnership, right? And in regards to how do we present that to people, you know? And we hadn't figured that out.
During our walk in Baltimore, Jada reflected on their breakup. Why did the relationship fracture?
Oh, well, why it fractured, that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think by the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying. I think we were both kind of still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be.
Jada says she considered a legal divorce, but could never go through with it.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately. Paid attention to him, he kind of sucked you in. And we hit it off.
Crack is cheap.
And I'm tired of her always talking about Tupac would have did. Tupac wouldn't have with her. Tupac wouldn't have with her. I'm tired of that story. It would have never went down. Oh, Tupac. I know Tupac. Tupac wouldn't have been with you.
This is the first time to sit down together.
Yes.
And talk about this blended family situation. We've been doing this for 20 plus years. That's a long time.
That's a long ass time.
The beginning between us was rough because I did not understand marriage.
Yeah.
I didn't understand divorce. I will say that I probably should have fell back.
You think?
I do, and I'm gonna tell you why. I would have fell back because I feel like when Will and I first started dating, you know, I had this thing in my mind. I was like, okay, well, you did that and that's done.
Yeah. Oh, you thought it was done?
Right, that part. See, that's where I was wrong.
Yes.
Now, being a married woman, and if Will and I were to get divorced now, my God. So when I think back about where I was, some of my insensitivities, some of my inconsideration, just in regards to you guys unwinding a marriage.
Yeah.
And then me trying to get in there and like, all right, so we got Trey, we got, okay, so this is what we need to do.
I was like, bless her little heart.
Right.
I remember I was dropping him off and little Miss Thing said, we need to talk about Trey's behavior.
I was like, we all need to sit down and have, right. Do you remember that conversation that we had on the phone that time?
I do.
It was fighting words.
Very few times in my life I can recall being checked real hard where I didn't have nothing to say. You did that. So I'm calling to talk to Trey.
Right.
But I had to go through you to get to him.
Okay, got it.
You answered the phone. And I wasn't really respectful. So you basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone. I was like, I don't care. It don't matter. And you hung up on me.
Oh,
Girl! I called back and I happened to say, quote, bitch, you living in a house I picked out. You said, it's my house now.
Will Smith, let me have it.
What was his take?
His take was, that is Trey's mother, and that's just not your place.
And the one thing I will say about you, you would always say, Ree, I apologize.
Right.
You always owned it, and thank you for that.
One thing that Will has always been really clear about is the mother dynamic. Yeah. Basically, his position was, I'm always willing to hear, I'm open ears, but you have to understand she's Trey's mother. It took a lot of maturity.
Because I didn't know that.
And he knew when to step off. When he was like, that's between you and Ree, y'all gotta figure that out.
And you know what I think? Part of my responsibility is to respect you.
Just that level of respect and consideration. And that takes a minute to get to. What would you say was the most difficult point for you in regards to this dynamic?
The most difficult part was the week he told me he was introducing you to Trey. And I said, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Right.
And he's like, well, it's happening. So Trey comes home. I said, how did you like Miss Jada? He said, I
really liked her, Mommy. Oh, my God. Thank you for loving my baby. So he comes, he says, I want to get her a present. That was a turning point because I did see your heart with Trey. You know, I did see that you love this kid. You really did. And I saw a woman who was doing the very best she could. I'll be honest with you. I had my doubts.
I know you did, because do you remember when you told me it was Trey's birthday party and you had invited me and you looked at me and you said, you know he's not easy, right?
Was I talking about Will or Trey?
You were talking about Will.
Was I right?
You were.
That's what I'm saying, girlfriend. Just looking out. Just looking out. Because I know this little boy is a lot.
Right.
And I know this baby daddy
is a lot. Right.
You know, I chose to walk away from the marriage. That's a choice that I made. And even to this day, thinking that I broke up a family, I didn't give Trey what I wanted for him. I didn't give him what he needed.
Right.
You know, I didn't give him what his brother and sister have. That's hard.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what I have to live with.
Right.
And that broke me down. It still hurts.
You know, I had this fantasy in my mind. I'm like, oh, man, we're just going to be one big happy family. We're going to make this work. And Trey, this is going to be seamless for him. And it hasn't been. And it's been difficult, especially now as he's older and just seeing some of the stuff he has to deal with. But I know you and I both understand. We've all come here with our burdens.
Isn't there something how we can relate because of Trey? And I'll tell you, on this side of things, my son could not have a better bonus mom.
Thank you, Ray.
No, thank you. He couldn't.
And he's got a great mother.
Oh, we did it.
We did it. I really didn't want to get married. It was almost as if Gammy was like, you have to get married. So let's talk about the wedding. I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, being young. And I was just like pregnant. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I never wanted to be married.
I don't remember that. I remember wanting you guys to be married. I do remember that. Yes. But I don't remember your rejection of the idea of marriage.
I was like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have a wedding. And now I'm being forced to have a wedding. And I was so upset that I had to have a wedding. I was so pissed. I went crying down the freaking aisle.
Oh, getting married.
Cried the whole way.
The wedding was horrible.
It was a horrible wedding.
It was a mess. Jada was sick. She was very unpleasant.
J'étais dans un cycle de haine de moi-même. C'était une période vraiment sombre. Je voulais absolument en sortir. Et je devais faire en sorte que cela ressemble à un accident car je ne voulais pas que mes enfants pensent que je m'étais suicidée.
Veuillez accueillir Jada PINKETT SMITH. Jada, je vous connaissais en tant qu'actrice d'Hollywood. Je ne savais pas que vous étiez la fille de 2 parents toxicomanes et que vous-même étiez une adolescente qui vendait de la drogue dans les rues de Baltimore.
Je pensais devenir la prochaine grande trafiquante de drogue. J'avais absolument zéro crainte. Mais me faire pointer par 2 armes de 9 mm...
Ah oui, ils ont pointé 2 armes sur toi.
Ça a été un réveil.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
Quelqu'un m'a piégé et ensuite, j'ai toujours dû avoir cette apparence robuste. Maintenant, alors que je démonte mes défenses, je suis dans une phase très brute.
La sainte gifle. Que s'est-il passé?
Je savais que j'allais être accusée, mais c'était insensé.
Vous dites que la protection est votre langage d'amour. Avez-vous vu cela comme un acte d'amour? La conversation sur l'entrelacement?
Nous avons rompu.
Ensuite, qu'as-tu fait, Jada?
Ma mère, mes enfants, ils se demandaient comment as-tu pu faire ça?
Regrettes-tu d'avoir sorti ça?
Honnêtement?
J'ai trouvé cette magnifique photo.
Oh, je reconnais cette photo que vous montrez. Savez-vous pourquoi c'est particulièrement pertinent pour moi? Oui, je les ai malheureusement perdus l'un après l'autre.